things should have worked out the way we were playing in the second half, barring the first, in which we were completely abysmal. I think Liverpool really struggled to get into the game, honestly, if you really want to condense the 120 minutes that were played out there. The penalties again, man, I think it's a 50-50 situation. Nunez missed it, even though I think he was quite convincing with his shot taking ability. Curtis Jones looked completely nervy, deflated whilst taking that spot kick. But overall, if you want to like come down to the first half, I think the first 10 minutes we had a brilliant start to the game. Salah beat Nuno Mendes at the halfway line, and then he drove the ball across the channels, and then he went near the box, and he just completely missed his mark, right? And another opportunity came by Salah's end. Diaz squared the ball, and Salah was at the receiving end of the far post. And Nuno Mendes once again, was there to block him. And in totality, I think it was a really stiff competition if you look at the result, right? But overall, be the shots, I think an equivalent number of shots were taken by both the teams, right? The chances created were slightly more for PSG, I felt. But again, man, the way they moved the ball, the way they sliced our midfield, right? I think they were more convincing near the final third. Dembele again, all across the pitch, the free man, the lone man who's roaming freely, destroying our midfield, right? Getting on the ball, even though PSG were not as dominating as what they were in the first game. But still, the moment they would actually get on the ball, they would just bounce ahead and they would stutter our defense, right? Even though we had majority of the possession, we had a couple of good set pieces. Van Dijk got his head around one. Kwanzaa had a brilliant chance, hit the post. We scored an offside goal, which was marginally offside again, Luis Diaz being a little ahead of the line. But you needed to give flowers to PSG for the way they performed on the pitch. I think in moments we did look deflated, right, in the first half. I don't think McAllister was really up to that level in the first, but second, man, what a massive turnaround for Liverpool, right? Control the possession again, but again, we need to question our attackers. The supplies clearly coming in from McAllister, Gravenberch again, not really up to it, but it really does come down to that, right? McAllister was able to turn the game around on so many occasions with the recoveries, with the turnovers, interceptions. Same with Trent. I think he handled Barcola quite well. Even Kavisha wasn't really getting a touch on the ball in the second. I think Trent brilliantly was supplying the balls ahead for Salah. And this is where we need to really question Mohamed Salah, right? In both the fixtures, I think he was really poor. In this one, at least, he was getting on the ball, he was giving a stiff competition out there to Fabian Ruiz, to Mendes, to Pacho, but not good enough, man. First half, our support system offensively was so lackluster, right? Soboslai, McAllister, finding it difficult to be resilient, right? The box-to-back box presence that we needed in those moments, they were not showing up at all, right? And Gravenberch again, man, I think, like I mentioned, we should have had some midfielders, or Curtis Jones again, he had a decent, I would say, a hot and cold outing. But we need more quality players, as simple as that. We don't have a Thiago who can completely turn the situation around for us. They've got so many good technical masters of the game, right? Petinha, Neves, Barcola, Dembele. Yeah, man. I mean, we should have actually scored a goal for sure. The amount of possession we had in the second, we should have controlled the game near the box, right? I think Pacho and Marquinhos were absolutely brilliant. Even though Van Dijk and Konate never really put a wrong foot ahead. But the goal that they scored, right? You can clearly see that Nuno Mendes plays the ball into the mid spaces, and Dembele is the first guy to pick that ball. And he drives ahead, supplies it to Barcola, right? Who brilliantly retrieved the ball, a good touch on the ball, squared the ball, right? And Dembele was completely pounded by Konate and Gravenberch in that moment. And then again, a lack of communication between the keeper, Konate, even though the miscommunication led to Konate dispersing the ball away for a moment, but Dembele was able to overlap him and just tap the ball in, right? A similar thing which happened against Smallbone as well, against Southampton. A game where we should have not conceded. A similar situation arose today as well. I mean, completely atrocious the way we conceded that goal. We could have even won the entire round by just not scoring. We had a 1-0 superiority in the first leg. Coming into the second, Diogo Jota doesn't really offer his presence up front physically. Arne knew this. Why did he not start with Nunez? Why did he not give him the entirety of the game to build that confidence? When Nunez came on, he was winning the balls, he was holding the ball up well, he was dispersing out into the wider channels and helping Salah out. But again, not convincing in the box at all. Attack was abysmal. The only person who I felt was actually putting in the effort was Luis Diaz, even though he started the game really slow. But man, he was electric, gave Hakimi a run for his money. Man, he was difficult to handle, supplied the ball a couple of times, squared it, man. And I'm not gonna give him any flack for this. Right. I think the best attacker out there on the pitch was really inconsistent, to be honest, season on season, barring the first when he came on. But in tonight's game, I think Luis Diaz for me, McAllister, brilliant with the interceptions, Van Dijk with the defending, right? And Trent as well. I think slow in transitions, right? When they're on the break, Trent is a liability for sure, but then he showed up massively in the second half. So yeah, man, these four players for me, and Soboslai, I don't really feel that he had that influence in the game. I don't feel the substitutions that we made were really helping us out. You know, Curtis Jones again came in for McAllister, Gakpo came in for Luis Diaz, right? Soboslai came out, Jota came out, Konate went out, right? And Trent obviously came out. So I just don't think we have the quality that we need to punch to that level when it comes to such crucial fixtures. You need conviction in fixtures, and Javier literally wasn't offering any presence up ahead either, right? The main problem was PSG, Donnarumma would be playing the balls long or short at times, but their supply looked so subliminal, man. Even though they didn't really dominate the possession, in the extra time, you could clearly see that PSG were miles ahead of Liverpool, winning the first balls. Pacho, Mendes, Marquinhos winning the first balls again and again on a consecutive basis and supplying the ball ahead to Vitinha. And the midfielders just had one job, right? Pass the ball ahead to the flanks because Kawisha and Barcola, right? Or Due, again, a massive, massive addition as a substitute. The difference maker for me in this game when it comes to the performance, PSG were able to turn it around in that extra time because of the substitutions. They were quality, right? They made their presence felt at Anfield, whilst we couldn't really show up, right? And I'm not really going to give any flack to the players, even though I think the goal should have not been conceded. There was a moment where I felt that offside, they haven't really shown the replay, and then there's a page on Twitter called Football Offsides, and he literally drew the lines from the right angles, and it shows that even Barcola was marginally offside. Overall, man, Luis Enrique showed up once again in a cup fixture. Right, they're going to be in the top 8. And Donnarumma, even though he started the game, was a bit sporadic in situations, but then he showed up massively with the punches, right? Blocked the balls on a couple of occasions. We had spectacular shots in the second half too. Yeah, but he showed up on each and every occasion, right? Pacho with a brilliant block, Mendes with a brilliant block. These situations could have actually turned the game around for us, and we should have taken our chances. We need to improve the squad. We need to have better quality players on the bench, right? We need to improve our fullbacks as well, right? Robertson, again, I think he needs competition over there. I think he's way past his prime, and we need another replenishment in that position, right? Same goes for Trent. I think defensively he turns out to be a liability. When these fullbacks are stepping ahead, you know, Neves and Vitinha are so good on the ball, right? They can actually bait their press and just pass the ball ahead. And there's massive space at the back for Dembele, Barcola to attack, right? It was as easy as that for them in certain phases of the game, right? Second half still, we looked like, okay, now we're going to score a goal. Now we'll get into the box. We'll bombard it. Chances came from set pieces. But yeah, not good enough. We didn't take them. We lost. And we got to take it on the chin and move on. It wasn't really anyone's game in the taking. But still, it comes down to moments as such, right? In cup fixtures, this game was played like a proper cup fixture. And PSG came on top.